Welcome to the 3BA podcast. My name's Garrett, and I'm going to be your host on this wild new ride that we started together. You've seen some TikToks, you've seen the Instagram posts. Mr. Johnny Pappas has been doing a great job of promotion where I have been lacking. I'm more of the planning and the setup. And that brings us to where we are today. Today is the launch day. I'm so glad you can make it. I'm so glad you're here. We hope you keep coming back for many more episodes to come. But I wanted to take today and this time to tell you a little bit about where this idea came from, what it means, and what we plan to do in the future. So the 3BA podcast has been a combination of ideas that have come to me, come to Johnny, come to other people over the last year. I personally have felt a calling that I needed to provide a voice to men, to women, to people in general out there that sometimes don't want to talk about things, or they just don't know how to talk about things or topics or issues. And I wanted to get right down to the root cause of what that is. Bourbon, boners, and being awesome. The 3Bs of 3BA. To start off, bourbon is pretty self-explanatory. You may or may not be able to see what's going on behind me. It's a little bit of a passion of mine. To call it a passion is the nice way of saying obsession. For about 8 years of my life, going on 9, I have been in what they call the bourbon game. And I've tried to learn everything I possibly could about the United States specific spirit. Behind me, you'll see a collection that I've amassed over many years of collecting, trading, buying, selling, all to get what I think is one of the best spirits that you can buy on the market today. The bourbon aspect of this podcast is going to be directed at that spirit specifically. Are there going to be days where we talk about other things than bourbon? Absolutely. I would be out of my mind not to address tequila or rum or even vodka. We'll leave those beers for another time. But bourbon is going to be the focus, the main focus, to start off this podcast. The boners aspect, the second B of the 3BA. Boners, to be very open with all of you, is a hook. I came up with this idea one day to figure out a catchy name that people might recognize. But boners is going to be directed more towards the men's health aspect. Why men's health? Well, I'm a man. I can't speak to other sexes' health, but I could speak to men's health. And it's going to be a lot of different topics. It's not going to be directed at sexual health or pervertedness, although I'm sure you're going to get a little bit of that as time goes on, especially with co-hosts and guest speakers. I'm sure you're going to get your fill of that side of men's health. But additionally, I just felt a calling. I felt the need to address some things that men have, for lack of a better word, trouble speaking to. What do I mean? I'm talking about how to talk about your feelings. I don't mean to get all mushy. There may be some sappy episodes down the road, but ultimately we want to just bring to light what issues men have in general, sometimes specifically, and talk about them. Have an open forum for discussion and bring awareness for everyone involved, both here and out there listening, to what I think we can do to help those men, those people out there in the world that may need or may not know what to do when they need to talk about their feelings or about issues that they're having in their lives. A perfect example of this is how to deal with someone moving away. In my own personal experience, when I started the bourbon collection that you see behind me, I moved away and lived in Kentucky. When I moved away, I had some friends who didn't know how to voice their feelings. They told me. Their wives told me. Some of them were sad. Some of them were happy. I'm sure they were happy. But ultimately, just being able to talk to a friend and telling them that you care is sometimes hard for the average man to do. Admittedly, I'm in that boat too. I don't always know what to say. I don't always know how to promote my feelings or project my feelings to those that I care about. And that's tough. And that's something I'd like to talk about. Is that something that you want to talk about? Hopefully. But it's going to be issues that involved with bettering you as a man. I truly believe that there are resources out there that are for everybody to use that we just don't know where to find them. And I hope to find them over the course of the time that I'm doing this podcast. And hopefully you find it beneficial for you as well. And then finally, that takes us to being awesome. Being awesome is exactly what it sounds like. We hope to bring positive energy and positive reinforcement to the world. I know that sounds very generic, and you hear that in a lot of people speaking and those people who stand up in front of crowds and speak to the masses. Here, it's going to be a little bit more intimate. And what do I mean by that? I hope that we can provide good deeds. I hope that we can pay it forward, for those of you who know what that means. I hope that we can go out and in a line of traffic pay for somebody's coffee behind us. Or we can go mow your grandmother's yard without her knowing. Or we can just go out and make somebody's day. We really want to do acts of kindness and be positive in the world. And additionally, we want to address those people who are doing those acts of kindness in the world. We want to highlight them. We want to promote them. Male, female, doesn't matter. We want to promote those people in the world that are doing positive things for positive growth for all humanity, because we're all in this together. Now that you've kind of heard the outline and the ideas and where they came from, this is the point in which I want you all to know that along this journey, there's going to be ups, there's going to be downs, there's going to be twists and turns and surprises, hopefully a lot of laughs, maybe some tears. But all in all, the goal of the 3BA podcast and Johnny and I's vision to start with is simply this. We want to bring information to you that we hope that you find entertaining, helpful, and useful. And at the end of the day, hopefully there's a smile on your face, or you went away saying, man, I didn't know that, or oh, I learned something today, or man, I knew that and I should have been using it in my everyday life. We hope to bring that positivity to everyone who follows us, who listens to us, who likes us, who shares us, who re-listens to us or makes fun of us. We want all of it. We want to entertain you, and we want to engage you as much as we possibly can. To kind of give you a little bit of a breakdown of how this is going to work, I want to go into a little bit more detail just to get you set off on the right foot. Bourbon Boners and being awesome is simply that. We're going to break it down for you every day of the week, believe it or not. Our goal is to provide you with a 25 to 30 minute episode every day of the week that touches on every one of those topics with a wild card at the end of the week. Mondays, you'll be looking forward to a bourbon review. That's going to be done with me. You're going to see my face. You may get tired of my voice. You may get tired of my face. And that's okay. But on Mondays, we're going to do bourbon reviews. You'll see one of those tomorrow. What are the bourbon reviews going to be? Well, they're not going to be, hey, this tastes like cinnamon and wood that fell in a tree from 1,500 years ago. No. This is going to be a different bourbon review. Am I going to taste some bourbon? Absolutely. Am I going to drink some bourbon with you? Hopefully. But the bourbon review is going to talk about some things that I don't believe that many other bourbon review sites do. We're going to talk about, is it worth the price? What is the price? Where can you find it? Oh, you can't find it where you are? I can tell you where to find it. In my time and my travels and in my bourbon path, if you will, my bourbon journey, I've made those connections. It's not a brag. It's just, I'm going to help you get to where I am. And I'm going to show you the path that I took. Especially if it's a specific bottle that you want to hear more about, feel free to tell us. Tell me. Send us a message. We'll review that bottle. We'll open it right here in front of you. And we'll have it tasted. We're going to give away tastings. That's my goal. My goal is to open a bottle, and for those of you who want to try it and they're seeing our podcast, maybe they see something they've never tried or they didn't see on a shelf, we hope to provide that to you. On Tuesdays, you're going to get the first part of the boners. Now, is it going to be boners? No. It's going to be about issues that, again, we're going to use Garrett, that I have come up with and I have experienced in my time, and that I believe that we could talk about, we should talk about, or maybe we don't talk about enough. For instance, I personally don't like mowing my yard. It's fall, and I'm so glad that I don't have to mow anymore. Now, a lot of you may love mowing your yard, and that's okay. but I'm going to tell you why, and we're going to go into detail about some of the things, tips, and tricks that I've learned to expedite that process and still have a good looking yard. On Wednesdays, we're going to do something that I'm looking very forward to. It's going to be the Badass of the Week Award. Now you're saying Badass of the Week Award. Yes, it's going to be called a BOW, B-O-W. We're going to make shirts. We're going to interview them. We're going to talk to you about them. It doesn't need to be just a man. It could be a woman. It could be anybody that's a badass. Eventually, we're going to get to the point where you vote on Badasses of the Week. And we want to talk to them. We want to bring them on the podcast. And we want to sit down with them and talk to them about why they're such a badass. And we're gonna highlight them. We're gonna promote them. We're gonna bring them forward and get them the recognition that they deserve. That takes us to Thursdays. Thursdays is gonna be Bourbon Talk. Now, again, you're getting the Bourbon Review on Monday. It's gonna be Bourbon Talk on Thursday. Hopefully it's not just my face that you see, but if it is, that's okay too. Hope to have some guests. We're gonna hope to drink some great bourbon. We're gonna sit around and talk about stories and tell stories. We're gonna discuss why you like IPAs versus why I like bourbon so much. Why do you like Scotch and the peat versus why I like the sweet and the bourbon? There's going to be a lot of different choices and avenues to go down, but it's going to have guests. We're going to have guest speakers. We're going to have other talkers. We're going to get together. We're going to drink, and we're going to talk about it. On Friday, we're into the second part of the boners. That's where we get a little serious. Fridays, we want to bring issues to light. Is it going to be all, hey, you need to go talk to somebody about your feelings? No. But it is going to bring up some things that I believe need to be highlighted. For instance, where I live and where I am in the country, there's a big focus on veteran suicide. That's a topic. That's an issue. We don't want our veterans taking their lives. How can we help? What can I do? What can you do? What can we do together? We want to talk about it. I have some guests lined up already that do other podcasts. There are other parts of the country that I'm in that'll come and talk to us, and we'll sit down together, maybe have a drink, maybe smoke a cigar, and talk about those things in men's health that are probably a little bit more uncomfortable. On Saturday, that takes us back to another Being Awesome. You already had the Badass of the Week Award on Wednesday. On Saturdays, we're just going to do all of the things that we believe good people should do. What's your definition of good? Well, we have one, and we hope that you see it too. We want to go out there and provide positive reinforcement to everybody in the world. We want to pay it forward, as I mentioned. We want to buy you a cup of coffee. We want to pay for your oil change. We want to come out and just sit down and talk to you about what we can do to help you. How can I promote your business? How can I help you, better your life? What do you need help with that you just can't figure out? Is there something that I can do, that we can do, that the 3BA podcast can do to help you? Let us know. We want to better the world that we live in. And then finally, that takes us to Sundays. Sundays are going to be the wild card. Sundays are going to be the fun day. That's at least my plan. That's the ideas that we've had. Sundays are going to get to talk about whatever you want to talk about. If you're seeing a show on that's right now that you really want to discuss, we'll talk about it. If you're really into something specific, if you have a passion that's not just bourbon, boners, or being awesome, we want to talk about it. We're going to highlight those things that make us unique. We're going to highlight those aspects that maybe don't get talked about enough. We're going to dedicate a whole episode weekly to finding out those special things that you enjoy, that we enjoy, that other people enjoy. We're going to talk to experts. We're going to talk to people who have a passion about it. We're going to bring them on. We're going to interview them. We're going to provide that information to you. Again, ultimately, that's the layout. There's your weekly rundown. We're going to keep them to 25 to 30 minutes. That's our goal time. I jokingly said that's the time it takes you to have a bowel movement, to put it nicely. That's my vision. That's our vision. That's what we want to provide to you. Some entertainment, some positive reinforcement, and some things that are maybe just out there to improve your overall well-being. With that, I just want to tell you one more time, welcome. I'm excited. This is a new thing. We're going to be growing. We're going to be changing. If you have any suggestions, if you want to talk to us, if you want to be on the podcast, shoot us a message. Send us a message. Shoot us a link. give us a like, give us a follow. We will do whatever we can to get you involved. And I just want to say welcome one last time. I'm excited. Be looking for the first bourbon review coming up tomorrow. And thanks for joining. I look forward to talking to you guys again.